Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
It's 3 o'clock on the dot, and we're back on the Tuesday edition of Newhouse Afternoon. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli, as always, on hand. Glad to have you with us on Cuse Sports Talk on YouTube and Twitch. Hunter, it's always a bad time of the year when the NFL and college football and college basketball start to wind down, but it's been a fun journey this last week.
It's been a great journey. I love the month of March for athletics. Between, you got the March Madness tournament, you have basketball winding down, but lacrosse picking up in Syracuse and across the country. I was walking around campus yesterday, and I don't know if it was because the weather is finally a little warmer. I think it was the warmest day potentially since October in the city of Syracuse, but there just seemed to be a renowned energy, some life in the city walking around. Could also partially have to be with the fact that a new head coach was introduced at 4 o'clock yesterday.
And let's dive right into it. The main man of the hour yesterday, and Jerry McNamara, a Cuse legend, is officially head coach of the Syracuse Orange, introducing himself in front of, countless Orange fans in the ACC network, also live on Citrus TV. And he mentioned that he is here to win, point blank.
Here to win. He said it's a dream come true that he's coming back to Syracuse. I know there was a clip circulating a bit from back when he was a player in 2003 saying, one day, I hope there's a chance I could potentially come back and coach this team. And that was 23 years ago, back when he won the championship with Syracuse, the last time Syracuse won a championship in men's basketball. So I think a dream come true it is for Jerry and his family. And I'm really excited. I know a lot of fans are excited for the renowned energy that he's going to bring. Hopefully the program, revitalizing a program that we mentioned last week, back-to-back losing seasons for the first time since before the moon landing, which was pretty nuts, 1967 to 68. So I think just the new energy that he's bringing to the program. There were about 2,000 fans I saw at the press conference yesterday. They were giving out in McNamara era t-shirts.
Love that design, by the way. It was awesome.
It was a cool shirt. It was a cool shirt. I didn't personally grab one.
Yeah.
I was bouncing around at the conference, leaving the conference, so I was able to grab one. If there's one of our listeners who has an extra t-shirt, would love to get a shirt. So the shirts were great. I thought the energy in the press conference was great, and an overall just great day for Syracuse fans as a whole.
Well, he sure knew how to break the ice with that one Step Brothers joke that got the crowd laughing. That was pretty funny. I know Luke Radel, Luke Radel of Citrus TV, asked a question about, from a student perspective, as a student journalist, and he's already going to do great things, that I haven't been able to see the Syracuse Orange play here in my 4 years. And that's when he just was saying that I'm here to win, and that he felt, he took that personally, that a guy who went to a basketball legacy school couldn't see this team be successful in the postseason. So I like that question right there in the press conference after the introductory speech. But when you see a guy like Jerry McNamara, who's a legend, and what he did at Siena, bringing them to their first tourney in a while and competing like they did against the #1 Duke Blue Devils, who now just got bounced by UConn.
It's a great game.
It was an awesome game that we'll get into a little bit later, hyping up this Final Four. When you have a guy like this who has won here, the lone title in the history of this program, it should be a motivating factor for these fans of Syracuse that they can head back in the right direction. He was on that one winning team. So you should be encouraged, I think, if you're a Syracuse fan. I know some people didn't want the in-house hire.
Right.
But from what I was hearing yesterday and what we heard from Brian Blair, the AD a few weeks ago in his introductory conference, I think they can steer this program in the right direction again.
I 100% agree. I think the first thing that goes with steering the program in the right direction is the NIL factor. Everyone's been talking about it, the fact that Syracuse's roster last year was in between $2 and $4 million budget for the roster. Now, going into this year, there's been rumors that there's money trying to be raised for this program, specifically men's basketball, basketball. The fact that $4 to $5 million is being talked about in rumors of being raised, which would essentially go from, we're looking at about $3 to $4 million to close to even $10 million, which I saw, I think even on the Cuse Sports Talk Instagram, would get it close to about top 6 in the ACC. If you're in top 6 in the ACC in NIL, that should put you in a great position to succeed, get wins in the ACC, get non-conference wins outside of the ACC, and potentially get back to the NCAA tournament.
Let's think about the players, or the general archetypes that he'd want on this team. He's saying that he's flexible in his coaching approach and that he would have loved to make more threes with the Siena Saints team this past year. You have guys like Gavin Doty, who's possibly a guy who will be on this team, not official yet, but when you think about this outlook of the team, what do you think they need most to improve as a team, and what kind of player maybe?
I think one of the biggest weaknesses last year was just the discipline factor. The fact that there seemed to be a lot of talent on paper, but there just seemed to be a disconnection between the players and the coaches, and that there wasn't that discipline for the players to get some hard-nosed, gritty wins. For McNamara, it feels like he wants to bring in more of that gritty, hard-nosed mentality. Guys who maybe grew up playing basketball in New York, in Central New York, that have that hard-nosed, gritty mentality. I think he wants to bring those type of players in, either from Siena, from the transfer portal, in recruiting, bring those type of players in and work off that foundation. He knows he could teach some of the other fundamentals, whether it's running an offense, specifics on defense. He knows as a great coach, he can instill that in his players, but I think he wants to bring in a foundation of players who are willing to work hard, willing to listen, and willing to go after it every single game.
And one of the parts of that foundation is something that was important to him, and that Jim Boeheim zone that was so classic in his multiple decades coaching here at this Orange men's basketball team. And he said yesterday, we did this 2-3 zone situationally at Siena. It could be having a comeback, not exactly in the forefront for Syracuse's defense, but it can make a comeback as being a vocal part of this defense.
Zone defense would be super interesting, obviously, because of the history with Syracuse playing the 2-3 zone. There was one quote that really caught my attention, the fact that he said, "There's no more pressure than what I put on myself." Then he went into talking about how he felt pressure when he was at Siena when they had lost 3 games in a row, and the fact that he understands getting back to Syracuse, he's already putting pressure on himself. Now, I don't know if the pressure is the same between coaching at Siena and coaching at Syracuse. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more fans, a lot more voices around him. I think the pressure will definitely be added on at Syracuse, but the fact that he feels that he was feeling the pressure at Siena, at least that's encouraging, that he felt there was a sort of pressure to get wins, even at a small school, that he had to win the conference, had to get back to the NCAA tournament. I like that he felt at least some sort of pressure at Siena, transitioning from there to now coaching at Syracuse's first Power 4 coaching opportunity.
Well, plenty of work to do for Jerry McNamara. It's 3:07 here on Newhouse Afternoon. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli. Some other headlines going around this great university, and Uche Azoje announced her return to Syracuse women's basketball. Big news. And then just recently, as of a few hours ago, reported by Citrus TV, Calvin Russell, the hyped 5-star prospect, with an injury that will have him sidelined indefinitely.
That was super interesting. Curious to see what the injury is. I don't want to speculate, obviously, but out indefinitely doesn't sound good. We have spring football playing right now, and then we'll have summer going into fall training camp. So I'm interested to see what the injury is. Hopefully it's not something too serious, but you have a 5-star like Calvin Russell, who not only is going to be an integral part of the football team in the fall, but could have a potential part with the basketball team come winter. I know he came on as sort of as a walk-on this past winter with the basketball team, didn't play many minutes, but hopefully, I mean, if he plays well with the football team, maybe another year on hand with basketball, can have a big part with them. So hopefully the injury isn't too serious, don't want to speculate, but hopefully a healthy return for Calvin Russell.
Well, seeing how this team, Syracuse football, played last year, it is just hard to witness and really fathom the injury that this could have on this team coming up. If it is gruesome, again, don't want to speculate, but you hate to see this kind of news for a guy who is one of the bigger prospects to come to Syracuse football in the last decade. it was very disappointing what this team did this past season. That really goes without saying. After you beat a great Miami team to knock them out of the CFP, hunt the first time Fran Brown got to coach here. It was just really hard to witness this backup quarterback situation, and then the talent that eventually departed from the roster here at Syracuse. Having a guy like him getting hurt at this time of year is just so disappointing. So prayers up to Calvin Russell.
I'd still rather have it happen now than potentially later in the summer, early fall. The fact that the season is still months away. Hopefully the injury isn't too serious. Can hopefully rehab and get back to the field.
Yeah, but we're going to move on to Major League Baseball, and the topic of really this opening week is this ABS, and it's finally starting to get showcased here. And some people like it, some people don't. Some people are right down the middle. It's just another phase in this illustrious history of the American pastime. And so now you are seeing some pitches that are being reviewed and possibly changed by 0.1 inches. And so I'd like to know your thoughts on that real quick before I dive in.
We spoke a little bit about it off air. I really like what they've implemented this year with the idea that it's still umpires making their own calls, and it's essentially what the NBA and college basketball is doing with it being able to challenge plays. The players, if they think a ball or strike call isn't right, they can challenge it. If they're right, then they win the pitch back. If they're not, they're not. But I like the idea that the players can at least argue the fact that if they 100% believe that a call wasn't right, that they could challenge it and bring that correctly. What we potentially saw a Twitter video of is, I think it was the Korean Baseball League, where they're actually using ABS with the umpires.
Full-time robot umps, basically.
Full-time robot umps, where they're telling them to call either a ball or a strike, which I think takes out the complete human element of umpiring, and I didn't really like that. I think the whole point of baseball is the fact that it is, with any other sport, referees in NFL, NBA, college, there's supposed to be somewhat of a human element, human judgment to playing between two teams. I think it balances the competitive level, and I didn't really like that with umpires being told, was it specifically a strike, was this specifically a ball?
Yeah, and those two words you mentioned were, what I take from that, the human element. That is the beauty of baseball. Now, don't get me wrong. The rules of baseball have been very clear that any part of the strike zone is supposed to be a strike. And so when you see guys challenging pitches that are way off, sure, it should be reversed. Like Angel Hernandez used to have some, pitch calls that were just flat out ridiculous. Some of them against Wyatt Langford, other players in the league, and for sure those should be reversed, because one of the worst feelings as a baseball fan to watch is when you have a bases loaded situation and an inning ender happened because an umpire flat out ruins a call.
Imagine last year in Game 7 of the World Series, bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. If there was a strike call that was so off the plate, fans would have been up in arms. So I do like the idea that players can challenge a call that was maybe judged poorly, but going back to it, the human element, human judgment, I think there still needs to be that with umpires.
I do think there is an argument to be had about, the tenth of an inch reversals. And you saw, some guys in the Twins game where, Derek Shelton, got ejected for arguing, a player tapped his helmet too late on the pitcher's mound. And you're saying, dude, this was 0.1 off. Why are you yelling at the umpire? And Kevin Brown, who was announcing the game, was like, you're yelling at the wrong guy. You're yelling at the wrong guy. He's arguing with the robot. ABS is just a 2D robot that is judging these calls. And so sometimes I go back and forth because I'm wondering, yes, it's a human element. You want to have these correct calls at the end of the day, but sometimes umpire, it's just human, man. It's hard to judge a pitch that's 97 miles per hour.
With the ABS, there's also not much of a difference, like I was mentioning before, with challenging calls in NBA or college basketball. You could challenge a call where you think there was a foul called and you didn't think it was a foul, and the referees will go to the table, they'll look at it for 10 minutes, sometimes it feels like, and the play stands because there wasn't inclusive evidence to overturn a call. So it seems similar here with the ABS system, where if a pitch was a tenth of an inch off the play or off the strike zone, there's just not enough evidence to overturn and say, well, that was definitely a ball or that was definitely a strike.
You know what I think, and I tweeted this a little bit on my account as well. I think guys are going to be petty because, look, what you're going to see is guys store their ABS, and as a strategy for a team, you only have a few seconds to tap it, and managers cannot exactly, challenge from the dugout. So what you're going to see, I feel like, is in the postseason or in the World Series, a player just be petty if they took strike 3 and it actually was not even arguable.
He'll just use it.
And it would ruin some celebrations. Who knows?
Yeah.
The World Series celebration is one of the more electric celebrations in sports.
Right.
You've seen the Super Bowl kind of die down, it feels like, with how they celebrated. Watch the Seahawks and how they celebrated that beatdown of the Patriots. You used to see guys crying and the tears flowing.
Right.
I don't think that's really changed in the World Series. Guys are going insane. They're throwing their gloves in the air. But I feel like it's going to be a little bit anticlimactic when you see an ABS challenge.
They just challenge just because.
Yeah, just because you'd have one left, like the Mike Tomlin method where he used to just get rid of his timeouts because he had timeouts to spare at the end of a game. So I hope that doesn't get in the way, because knowing how baseball players can be petty, that can absolutely be a possibility.
Totally.
All right. That'll do it for the starting segment here on Newhouse Afternoon. When we come back, we'll talk about the hectic Elite Eight and the great matchups coming up in the Final Four with Tommy Armstrong. We'll be right back on Newhouse Afternoon.
Awesome. Sounds good. Still streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. If you are watching live, feel free to hit the chat box, hit the comments. If you have any questions, Syracuse or non-Syracuse related, if it has anything to do with new head coach Jerry McNamara, lacrosse we'll be talking about soon. Any questions, hit us up.
Indeed, hit us up. Hold on. Sorry,
here?
Tommy. I'm going to plug this in real quick.
Is it stuck this time?
Doesn't look like it. Hold on, Tommy.
Trying out a mic test. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Where you plugging it? You need me out?
No way.
Alright.
I look good.
Yeah, you look great. Your tripod down here?
Yeah, it should be in my backpack on the chair. I hope.
Steve said we can do that.
What?
Steve said we can do.
Oh, do you want to?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Cool. I mean, we're right to another shoot.
Unless we shoot Thursday and it sucks.
Yeah.
Then we can just work it.
But we're right to it on Thursday. Screw it. Let's go.
Let us know if you have any questions.
Semester, baby.
I like it. Yeah, I know that.
I'm
It should be
patrolling
actually
YouTube.
awesome.
Hunter's patrolling Twitch.
Yep. You can also give us a call.
Indeed. March Madness was
On some calls.
doing March Madness things.
Oh.
Very fun to
Thank you.
witness a crazy buzzer beater.
Oh, let's talk some buzzer beaters.
Is
Well,
it fair to call it a buzzer beater? Even
I was
though
gonna say
I was just about to say, man, like
it's
we'll
like
talk about
in
it.
my book, it's like a buzzer beater, but like it's not a buzzer.
I
beater.
hate when they don't go at the actual buzzer.
That
I
one
need-
felt like it could have easily.
I need the
been,
clock
too.
keeper there to just let it go and for the aura of the shot.
It's part of. I feel like that's almost part of
Yeah.
Love it. Technically, it's always
Like
streamed.
probably a minute.
We're streaming, but not live on radio. We're in break.
Yeah.
Did you see
All right, so
Did you see
minute 30.
Did you see who was raising the money specifically? Who was leading the group?
Yeah, Lobdell.
Yeah.
I saw that. We've had one call in.
You could call in, or you could go on the
Yeah,
Twitch or YouTube.
Crooks just
stream
said they had to
and
move
put
'cause there's a class
question
coming in.
the chat.
Okay, I'll run back up there in a second. Can you guys act like you're talking to each other?
Yeah, totally. We just talked a lot about Are we actually talking?
You need actual sound.
I mean, we can talk a little bit anyways. I was going to say, the no buzzer beaters now, it almost feels a little bit comparable to like ABS where like everything has to be reviewed, and now they know the exact second where the ball touches the net,
and they
can't let that buzzer ring.
They've been doing it for a while, too. I can't act like it's new in college basketball or NBA, so there you have it. It's just coming more natural.
It's like slightly annoying, though, where like they know exactly when it crosses the rim, and it almost feels like you have to stop it. Because if you let the buzzer ring, I feel like you can't put any time on it then.
The UConn buzzer was 0.3, and then they added a point second on.
So, I mean, I guess they were on that one. But it feels so weird, especially if you just look a few years ago. It feels like that would easily be just ring the buzzer.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the buzzer did go off, but then they added time on.
Which, like, I guess you can't do. So, rather be safe than sorry in terms of stop it at 0.3. But
right. Yeah. This Final Four is going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be good.
Should I not walk in front of you?
You don't walk in front of that.
Yeah. It's up to you, man.
Oh, sweet.
Initial betting lines, Illinois 2.5.
Is this still going into your feature? So you're going to be your feature?
Yeah, yeah. Dude, Stomsky originally was like, you guys can interview yourselves.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's like, you guys want to be there, right? I'm like, well, yeah, but I didn't think I could interview myself.
Awesome. We're going at 10 seconds.
Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
3:20, and we're back on Newhouse Afternoon. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli on our Tuesday edition, joined back with one Tommy Armstrong. Glad to have you back, Tommy, to talk some March Madness.
I'm happy to be here. The rounds just get more exciting and more exciting. As the games dwindle down, it's always tough. You want as many games as possible, but Sweet 16, Elite 8, man, you can't beat it. Now we got the Final Four set.
All right, Tommy, we had 2 game winners over this past weekend. One of them was the recent one with UConn hitting the 3-pointer over Duke, and then 2 days before that in the Sweet 16, I didn't want to bring this up with Joe here, former UT alum, but Purdue scoring a buzzer beater tip-in. Not at the buzzer. We were talking about there's a couple points of a second left on the clock, but essentially a game-winning buzzer against Texas for Purdue. So we had some great finishes, and hopefully a couple more finishes coming up.
Oh yeah, the tournament's been great, and there's obviously been some dominant teams, and that's how we're here at the Final Four, the Arizona-Michigan matchup. I mean, everything. I'm going to be locked into that one. Those teams have cruised through a lot, but we've had so many good games at the same time. And yeah, as you mentioned, maybe in conversation it's still a buzzer beater. By the book, it's not a buzzer beater, but I like to say it's a buzzer beater.
Right. We've talked about UConn in the past off the record about them not necessarily having a star player, and yet they just find a way. Dan Hurley and his UConn Huskies find a way to go to a Final Four again.
I mean, it's crazy. You can't underestimate them. I thought the path was a little bit difficult. We mentioned even that round 2 matchup. I thought UCLA could give them a scare. They ended up not having Tyler Bilodeau, which obviously helps them get through, but then you can't shake it at that point. They're only getting better. They go through Michigan State. They make this fantastic comeback against Duke. That was my concern exactly with them. They didn't have a guy scoring 15 points per game. They had 5 guys all scoring double digits, which is great. You want a well-balanced team. But who's going to be the guy to step up? And it's been Terrace Reed, and they've been playing through him. This guy's averaging over 20 points per game. You go back to that Furman game. He's setting records with 27 rebounds and 31 points on 80% shooting. But, yeah, he's been phenomenal. You talk about Duke, one of the most physical teams inside. It's not a problem when it comes to him. He's still putting up 26 points. He's getting 4 blocks, and I mean,
staying with UConn, I don't think it's an understatement, you could agree or disagree, that UConn's latest 2 wins against Michigan State and against Duke are the 2 best wins out of any team in the tournament. You look at Michigan State, who was super hot going into the tournament. They had lost in the Big Ten tournament, but had a lot of great wins between conference and non-conference play, and then Duke was one of the most dominant teams this year. So even though UConn might not have been the hottest team going into the tourney or the best team, I think recently they have 2 of the best wins.
And it's just a battle of minds at that point. We've talked about that East region, incredible podium of coaches that are in that, and you're not only going through a great Michigan State team and a great Duke team, you're going through Tom Izzo in the Sweet 16, who everybody knows how he can perform in March, but Dan Hurley at the end of the day, man, he has this thing figured out. And I thought Michigan State, which that was a really good game, I thought they were going to give them a run and maybe the Spartans could overcome them. They looked great in that opening weekend where UConn looked a little bit shaky almost, and then right to it. And obviously it looked shaky against Duke as well, but when push came to shove, they were all for it. And I mean, one of the greatest comebacks we've seen in quite some time.
Absolutely. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli with Tommy Armstrong. Let's dive into the controversy. And we talked about this with the voice of the Orange, Matt Park, last night in our TV play-by-play class. And that was, Dan Hurley potentially hitting the noggin of an NCAA official. I love your thoughts on just the end of that game and the media firestorm from it.
Yeah, it's rough. There's two different ways you want to think about it. As a sports fan, you can't call it. There wasn't even 0.4 seconds at the time. There was 0.3. They didn't even put the extra tick left. We're talking about it's a near buzzer beater. This is a 19-point comeback they just made, and a freshman from 40 feet out laces one to put them up. Everybody's energetic. With Dan Hurley, he might get a little too energetic at some points. The other part of me is you can't touch a ref. It's just you
never
can't
been allowed.
do that.
It's never been allowed.
And then not only that, you headbutt him. Like, it's not you gave him a tiny shove or you brushed by him. You headbutt him, which is so bizarre to do in that situation. It's one of those moments where, it's so energetic, but you have to know how to keep your composure in that moments as well. And Hurley's been there, done that. Right. But obviously, we're talking about one of the biggest shots. At the end of the day, like you said, you can't call a technical on that. You can't end a game on a technical, but it's a tough one to mark up.
It feels like this has been like an ongoing story with Coach Hurley since they've won the 2 championships, that he's been able to cross the line every now and then, and refs are apparently all right with it. They know how he is, they know what his personality is, and they give him a little extra. I think it's similar to maybe how Coach Belichick was in the NFL or Coach Saban was in college football. I think they give him that little extra that he could go to. If it was another coach, I think they're getting teed up, but because it's Hurley, because they know what he's about, what he's done, his history, they give him a little extra.
Well, the official who he hit was Roger Ayers, one of the more famous, notable basketball officials in college basketball. And Seth Greenberg, who is an ESPN analyst, came out earlier this morning saying when he asked him about the headbutt, he couldn't even recall it. Yeah. He didn't know what he was talking about. So I'm like, maybe it wasn't a big deal. Who knows if he's telling the truth? To not exactly incriminate himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, to not get in the controversy at all.
It did just come out, though, that the referee, Ayers, won't be reffing in the Final Four.
Oh.
So
that's shocking.
That's interesting.
That's very shocking for a guy who's been doing this for quite a while.
Yes, I think
for one of the better Final Fours too.
One of the best referees, I think, in college basketball. Is there something there that they didn't want him coaching the UConn-Illinois game again, or if UConn gets to a championship, coaching that championship game because of what happened? I would say there might be something there.
You never know, and just with an experienced ref, maybe that's part of that experience. He knows how to take himself out of the game. Hey, I know this coach is getting a little amped up. It's one of the biggest moments of the entire tournament, and he was able to brush that aside. And then it's the pedigree as well. Dan Hurley, I mean, just won 2 national championships only a couple of years ago. He's been here. He probably has a lot of relationships with a lot of the refs just because of how deep he's made these tournament runs. And at the end of the day, you brush it off when you're a referee, and you don't want to make that controversial call at the end of the game, but it's a tough one to read between the lines, and maybe that's a reason why the whole Final Four referee shift might happen.
You already kind of touched earlier on Michigan-Arizona, how great a matchup that's going to be. UConn will be playing Illinois. It's going to be a really good Final Four in Indianapolis. Let's break down these matchups. Let's start with Michigan-Arizona, which you were talking about. When you look at these two teams, man, it feels like, to me, the winner of that game is winning it all.
Yeah, it feels like the national championship. It feels like these have been the best 2 teams in college basketball, perhaps for the entire year, but definitely right now in the tournament. Duke obviously was battling some of the injuries. They got Caleb Foster back, but still had their ups and downs throughout this last weekend. Arizona and Michigan have relatively steamrolled every team they've played. Arizona had the scare against Purdue, but that's an experienced team, a team that has grown together, has a lot of continuity. It's not going to be one that you just go in and beat, especially Arizona's a team of a lot of freshman talent as well. But at the end of the day, they come in that second half, they make those tweaks in the locker room, and they do steamroll them in that back half of the game. Then Michigan, they're beating teams by an average of 20 points so far. 4 wins right now, and they are all blowouts.
which is what UConn was doing a few years ago when they were going on their championship runs. That first championship, they were winning each tournament game by 20-plus points. Looking back at that game, Michigan-Arizona, do you think there's an X-factor player that will decide that game? We mentioned that we think that's potentially the championship game. The winner of that game, we think will win the championship. I agree. Is there an X-factor player that you think will decide that game? Lendenborg has obviously been great throughout the tournament. He's been one of the best, if not the best players in the tourney. Is there an X-factor player in that game?
Yeah, so I mean, when you compare both of these teams, they just really don't have many weaknesses. They're going to match up well physically. They have the bigs. I'm going to love seeing Kurchenkov against Mora on the other side. But when you talk about that X factor, I do think it's Lendenborg, just the way he's playing all tournament. He's playing like the best player in the tournament right now. He's the reason Michigan's going on some of these dominant stretches and 10-0, 12-0, 15-0 runs in these games. They're two teams with confident guard play. Arizona's been pretty solid for the most part, but they have some freshmen that they lean on, where Michigan has had a little bit of injury that has maybe made their backcourt slightly weaker, but have guys that they can rely on as well. I think they have a lot of similar strengths and weaknesses. There's going to be that battle in the paint, battle rebounding, but I do think it's going to come down to how good of a game does Lendenborg have.
Which I think he's been overlooked as a player in this tournament because he's not one of those big freshman names like a Darren Peterson or AJ DeVance.
And he'll let you know he's been overlooked. He mentioned that. He mentioned that already. Yeah. I mean, you look at this UConn-Illinois game, of course we can't count out UConn, and just them being here is, exactly justifiable. They should be taken seriously. But when you look at Illinois and Brad Underwood and the journey he has had to get to this point, being that he's 60 years old, first Final Four, and now he has the Fighting Illini in their first Final Four since Darren Williams was playing for the Fighting Illini. Colony, Texas native, by the way. Went to the Colony High School with the Colony Cougars. When you look at that matchup there, what are your thoughts?
Oh, the Balkan block. I love it on the Illini. Those guys are just flying around having fun. I will say I'm interested to see can Illinois stand the test of such an experienced and well-coached team? Because when you look at the path, yes, they beat Houston in Houston. That's a very big win.
That was a big win.
But they got VCU in the second round instead of a healthy North Carolina team, which obviously, if Caleb Wilson was there, could have been a completely different battle. They go in versing an Iowa team instead of what could have been Florida, what could have been Nebraska, what could have been Vanderbilt, which Iowa had a fantastic run in itself. It's no team to sleep on or anything, but I don't know how difficult this run has been for Illinois, but they've looked great. Keaton Wagler, obviously another one of the most exciting players in college basketball. There's so many guards in this tournament. I think it's just going to be a matter of have they faced a test so far against a team as experienced and well-coached as Dan Hurley and UConn.
I wouldn't count them out, though. You mentioned the Balkan Five. I think you need like a European minor to pronounce some of their names on that team. But I wouldn't count them out because there are so many players on that team that have experience playing internationally, playing in Europe. Almost like playing in this tournament isn't even as big a step because they've already sort of played professionally in Europe. So I would give them that edge at the fact that they have that experience. But, you talk about UConn and Coach Hurley. He's inevitable. His coaching, especially in the Duke game, that was masterclass. The way, that Duke hits the free throw, or UConn hits the free throw, Duke's up 2, and it's almost like Hurley had his team baiting the ball to Caden Boozer, the freshman guard, almost like he knew if there was any player on the court to make a mistake, it was going to be Caden Boozer. So those little things that Hurley does that could potentially make the difference to getting to a championship.
When you just talk about that, it's what type of momentum can this team ride to? That's one of the greatest shots in March Madness history. When you look at the stakes, it's to send them to the Final Four. It's against the #1 overall seed. It's a true freshman shooting from 40 feet and absolutely laces it. That's a game they're also just not supposed to win. They're down 19, and then not only that, they're down 2 with 10 seconds left, and when Duke's in the double bonus, there is no shot they should have a chance to win that game. And then they go and hit one of the most incredible shots we've seen to get to the Final Four. Can they just ride that all the way at this point?
Duke alum Grant Hill looked hurt. Can he really blame him?
Call for, right?
Illinois, UConn at 6:09 on Saturday. Michigan, Arizona. Real quick, Tommy, lock it in. Who's going to play for the national championship?
I was against UConn this entire tournament, pretty much. And like I think we've been saying a little bit here, I think Dan Hurley's going to be inevitable. Illinois has a lot of talent, but how are they tested? And then, like we said, Michigan, Arizona, that game's so hard to pick. I think that's the national championship. Like you said, I think the winner of that goes through. I think Arizona's been more consistent. I think they've been the better team all year. I think Michigan's playing like the better team right now, though. I think they get through it.
Let's not forget the argument, though, potentially. The Michigan-Arizona game, if the winner of that is almost beaten up a little more because those are supposedly the two better teams, if the team that gets out of that game is a little more beaten up, say a UConn or Illinois escapes their game, you're maybe getting a little more beaten up team in the championship, they might be able to get the edge there. So I think it's a wide open field so far with the last 4 teams.
It's going to be a fun one, especially that one on Saturday night. Arizona, Michigan. I mean, I don't know at the end of the day, but it's going to be fun.
No place you'd rather be. The Final Four on Saturday on Indianapolis. It should be a very fun one. Tommy, thanks for coming on as always, man.
Thank you, boys.
When we come back on Newhouse Afternoon, we'll talk about men's and women's lacrosse again with Robert Shabilsky. It's 3:34. We'll be right back on our Tuesday edition show.
Lanier in transition.
Still streaming
Love it,
live
fellas.
on Twitch and YouTube. Hit the chat. That was good.
Still on.
It's hot in this place, man.
It's very humidity.
I'm sweating. I mean, like, I knew it wasn't cold, but like it was just raining this morning, so I'm like, let me wear jeans, boots.
No.
Freaking, I'm dying.
The humidity is seeping into.
Got the shirt on.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my
We were just talking
goodness.
about the shirt.
One for our presentation this morning.
The Mac.
I didn't get one.
You weren't there.
No, I was there. I made a brief appearance, and I had to get back to my teaching assistant job. Let's talk some lax. I'm still pulling for Arizona, though. It's my original bracket pick.
That looks ridiculous with the shirt on. Should I put on my hoodie?
That's the
I'm going to put a hoodie on. I would.
Okay, I'm gonna throw the hoodie on.
Yeah.
I know.
Arkansas, Arizona beat Purdue. Just love
I
that
know.
American shirt. A little bit more difficult than what Michigan's road was, I think.
I was a little surprised that Michigan was the favorite.
I know, 1.5 though, right?
Yeah, it's coin
They're
flip.
now even to win the national championship, both of them.
Really?
Michigan plus 150, Arizona plus 75, both plus 175.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't even know who it is, UConn or Illinois, but like the other one of them is like plus 400.
Really?
The books are saying the same.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Cadeau to have like one of his games where he just collapses. I saw it happen too many times with Carolina.
Backcourts. Like Michigan's got a little bit of questions, but at the same time, like Bruce been great.
Yeah, I know.
Arizona.
I know.
Can you get to him?
Hey, are we good? I don't know if they can hear me or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep talking.
I'm just waiting for one of those Cadeau.
Hello, Newhouse
4 or 5
Afternoon.
turnover
Syracuse
games.
men's and women's lacrosse.
Hello. All right.
Check,
all right.
check.
All right.
Cool.
Hello. All right. Thank you, sir.
Big doubleheader this past Saturday.
That's it.
Another one in 2 weeks. Well, 1.5 now.
The men are down in Chapel.
Hunter's excited.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for here. Just get that.
I would have gone down if I had other jobs or activities to do down there while I was there, but do we have the updated men's rankings?
Yeah, just go to Inside Lacrosse.
So, yeah. When I
Are those
looked in the
different than-
recap,
are
I
those
saw,
different than ESPN?
again, so number 7 Syracuse at the time beat number 4 Duke.
Where are you
Did-
getting
did-
that ranking from? Because
That was number 7. What is it now?
We were 5 and it was 5 and 6 that game.
Syracuse Athletics had the game. Like if you go on Athletics, they have it as
Yeah.
7. Syracuse beating 4.
Yeah.
I go off the Inside Lacrosse media poll.
Is it?
It was
they
5
probably
and
just
6.
adjusted for now. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't know.
So it's this, and then you can go by week. So if you go to week 7, it was 5 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, when they look on the Syracuse Athletics website, they had
Yeah.
7.
They
ESPN.
probably have the media poll and the coaches poll.
This is what you're talking. ESPN goes off Inside Lacrosse. That's what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
So should I call them?
It was a 5 and 6 game. Saturday will be a 3 versus 2 game.
Got you.
Richmond, the Spiders, number 1 right now.
They're on a heater. They play Notre Dame this week. It'll be a big game for them.
Are they good?
They're very good. They were a quarterfinal team last year. They should have beat Cornell.
Sacred Heart sneaking into the rankings at 20.
They're undefeated.
All right.
They're not that
10-0. What?
I don't think they're that good.
They're not that good.
No.
Sacred
Might be
Heart.
fake.
That's one of the coldest college names ever, I swear. I met a dude from Sacred Heart yesterday. It was awesome.
Really?
I was like, bro, that name of the university is awesome.
So the girls had a like jumped up huge too.
I saw them as number 4 now, right? Currently. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the women are in the top 5.
ESPN has them at 3.
Watch live on
That's a different poll,
CuseSportsTalk.com.
right? I guess for ESPN.
Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
And we are back on Newhouse Afternoon. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli joined with Robert Shabilsky to talk about more lacrosse in the Syracuse Athletics program. Robert, welcome back on.
Fired up to be back. Great couple days on the campus with the Jerry McNamara event yesterday, and obviously a huge win over Duke on Saturday. So great couple days here.
Absolutely a great event with 9,304 people in attendance to watch the number 6 Syracuse Orange beat number 3 Duke in a nail-biting fashion.
Yeah, so this was an absolute slugfest, punch after punch from both sides. And really, it was Syracuse's resiliency to be able to take the punches on the chin and come out with a big win over then undefeated Duke. So great game, great environment. It was cool being in the booth. I was getting to Shadow Kamana, who was doing the play-by-play, and Quint Kestnish, who is one of the all-time great voices in lacrosse. And Quint was having a ton of fun with this exciting matchup. So it was great to see up close and personal.
I want to ask about Joey Spallina. He reached that 300-point milestone for his career. I believe he's currently now tied for the all-time record in points. Could we just talk general perspective, Spallina's this year with the team? How important has he been to Syracuse now jumping up? I think we just mentioned they're now 3rd in the country. They have a big game coming up this Saturday. But what has Spallina meant to this team?
I mean, Spallina is the engine that keeps Syracuse chugging along, and had 2 goals, 4 assists on Saturday. It was a huge part of that win. There were a lot of other complimentary players that stepped up and showed out and had great games as well. But like you said, Hunter, Joey Spallina eclipsing that 300-point career milestone, which is unbelievable. He's sitting at 301 right now, only 6 points away from tying Mikey Powell's all-time record and 7 points from eclipsing that. There is a possibility he does that on Saturday in Chapel Hill, but selfishly for the fans in Central New York, I hope he doesn't make it this weekend, because I think it would be really cool for him to do that in the Dome against Virginia in 2 weeks. I think that would be really special.
Robert, this team is rolling, man. And there was a time a month ago, or really a little bit month and some change ago, where we were a little bit concerned after that Harvard-Princeton loss. You weren't exactly concerned because you knew how talented this team was.
Well, it's just staying the course.
Exactly.
And that's why Gary Gate scheduled the way he did, going 4-2, played 5 ranked opponents to get 4 wins. And that stretch in Colorado was huge, picking up wins against Air Force and a big win over Denver before they came home to play Georgetown and start their ACC schedule. And that's how Gary drew it up. That's how Coach Gate drew it up. And this Duke team came in. I said last week Duke was mostly unproven. Duke's really good.
They're good.
Right.
They stayed the course with Syracuse. I think a lot of people learned a lot more about Duke in this one loss than they did in their 8 wins combined. I mean, Max Sloat and Ben Johnson are for real. I mean, they are incredible players, and it felt like a shooting clinic from Ben Johnston at times on Saturday, getting his way, beating down the alley, shooting on the run, shooting with time and space. And it got me nervous for a little bit there. But, I mean, Syracuse was really able to take the punches and come back and go blow for blow with Duke. And I mean, the defense was fantastic. Jimmy McCool had another great day with 12 saves. And Billy Dwan, he had the first goal of the game with and it's not a long pole goal. When you think about a long pole goal, you think about a defender hunting in transition, maybe getting a throwback at the top of the box and stepping into one. I mean, some of Billy Dwan's goals are just absurd, in the sense that if an attackman or a midfielder, someone with a 30-inch stick, would be able to do that, we would be like, how did they do that? But for someone the size of Billy Dwan to be able to do that with a 6-foot pole, it's even more impressive. I mean, the first goal that came for Syracuse, he's on the crease, tiptoeing around the crease with a Duke defender draped all over him, and he's able to tuck one in to get the scoring going for the Orange. So just super impressed with Billy Dwan's, not only his defensive play, but his offensive talent and what he's able to do on that end of the field as well.
I was looking back at some of the stats from this win for Syracuse. It was pretty even between them and the Blue Devils. The ground ball battle, that was a 34-34 tie. And then the face-off battle, Syracuse beat Duke 18-16 there, but only a 2 face-off differential there. Do you believe because this game was so even and was so close down the stretch, it was really the little things that mattered for Syracuse to get this 1-goal win?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just doing those little things right. I think Syracuse, they did have the advantage in the extra man opportunities. They had a couple of them down the stretch. Luke Roa was unbelievable.
Big insurance
on the extra
goal.
Man. Big insurance goal there in the fourth quarter. Syracuse led 12-10 with 10 minutes, a little more than 10 minutes left in the third. And then for the rest of the game, they just traded goals back to back. And really, it was, I think, Syracuse being able to play a super disciplined and composed fourth quarter of lacrosse, something they haven't been able to do as of late, which is really the reason why they were able to beat a really good Duke team. And Coach Gate talked about it in that post-game presser, that he was just happy with his guys, that they're able to stay composed, stay disciplined, and play really a full 60 minutes of lacrosse.
I thought that turnover might hurt them with like a minute left, but then they draw the moving pick to regain possession and run the clock out. I think that contributes to those little things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's preview the rival of Duke in their matchup later on this week. Number 3 Syracuse versus number 2 North Carolina on ESPNU at 2 p.m. Looking at this Tar Heels roster, anything that concerns you?
Oh, well, I know Hunter Caparelli is really excited for the Orange to make the trip down to Chapel Hill. I mean, UNC has been one of the best teams in the country throughout the course of the season thus far, and they absolutely dismantled Harvard on Sunday, a 17-7 final. Owen Duffy, a career day with 7 goals. And I know Hunter likes to talk a lot about the faceoff battle. Yeah. Brady Wambach went 22 for 25 at the faceoff X. The North Carolina faceoff unit is sitting just under 70%. They're at 68% right now as a unit. So this is a big test. I think Duke was a huge test and a chance. Can a premier team with a lot of talent come into the Dome? How does Syracuse face off against that? But now UNC is a little bit of a different animal. Owen Duffy is one of the best offensive players in the country. I know we like to talk a lot about Joey Spallina, what he means for the Syracuse team. Owen Duffy, very similar in regards for that UNC team. He's so lightning quick off the line. He can beat you off the dribble. He's able to feed the ball really well. He's able to shoot the ball. He split 21 goals, 24 assists on the year, so he likes to get everyone involved. And then Dom Petramala, Anish Shroff likes to call it 877 cash now, that dynamic duo of Owen Duffy and Dominic Petramala. He only had 3 goals on Saturday, only 3 goals, a hat trick against Harvard, but he's taking more than 8 shots a game. He really spreads out that defense. He likes to stretch it. And UNC's second midfield, it's full of freshmen. It's 3 freshmen. And the standout for me is Anthony Rayo out of Long Island, played on that U20 team over the summer. Really talented guy, super athletic, stretches the field. He's been coming on the scene as of late. So UNC is super talented across the board. And for me, it's how does that Syracuse D midi unit line up with that? I know that's still a question mark for some people. How do these D midfielders hold up against top level talent and athleticism? So this is a big test on Saturday, a big one that is going to be a really big benchmark. Either way it goes, I think we'll learn a lot, but it's going to be one of the closer games and should replicate what we saw on Saturday in a lot of ways of a slugfest for 60 minutes, just going blow for blow with premier competition.
With the Orange potentially coming off their biggest win of the season against Duke, we have one of the best games of the season coming up this Saturday. Like we mentioned, North Carolina second ranked, Syracuse right now ranked 3rd. Do you think the winner of this game will be in a more of a prime position to get that top seed in the NCAA tournament and be in a stronger position to potentially win a championship this year?
I think the Maryland win still holds a lot of weight for Syracuse. Okay. Maryland just beat Michigan over the weekend, so Maryland a little down in the Big Ten, but still have the rest of their Big Ten schedule and the Big Ten tournament to play. And the ACC tournament, that means a lot for these teams too, because what that does is you have the chance to play if you lose in the semifinal, you have an extra ACC game. And if you get to play and win the ACC championship, those are 2 additional games against an ACC team. Boost your RPI, boost your strength of schedule. So I don't think we'll really know until the last day of the season who will be that number 1 seed. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cuse and UNC meet again in the ACC tournament. But Virginia throwing a monkey wrench into the works. They upset Notre Dame at home on Saturday. It was that doubleheader, Notre Dame going down to Charlottesville to take on UVA, and then you had Duke up at the Dome. So a lot of people thought UVA was really a bottom-dwelling team in that ACC conference this year. Virginia, they kind of turned around their season by beating Notre Dame. So really a lot of question marks going on. This will be UNC's first ACC game of the season. Again, we said last week only 5 teams, so teams can start their play a little later in the season. They played Harvard on Sunday. So I think this will tell us a lot about Syracuse. It'll tell us a lot about UNC, and we'll get more of that ACC picture really flushed out, but should be a really good one.
Well, let's see if they can keep that hot streak going this Saturday. Also, number 4 women's lacrosse has won 9 straight. 5 of those wins have been ranked. They'll play against Cornell in an Ivy League matchup in Ithaca at 7 p.m. tonight. Robert, thanks for coming on, man. Really enjoyed you again.
Thanks, Rob.
Great to be here.
All right, we'll be right back on Newhouse Afternoon, the Tuesday edition show. Just a few more minutes left to close out our show. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
Check out.
Hit us in the chat.
I was going to, but we have to wrap, so I didn't want to go as long as how we did last time. I was going to ask a question.
It's all good.
I feel bad for that, but
Hey,
yeah.
I'm a Muchnick. Still love you. Think you're going to play great tonight. Let's go.
Sucks because they had their best. They had their best offensive explosion
Tommy knows there wasn't much to talk about after that win on Saturday.
The offense was really good.
Not too much analysis. It was one team was a lot better than the other.
Dude, that was the most points they've scored, or most goals they've scored this year, and we've been looking for this team to, actually score more goals instead of just having defensive master classes, which is not exactly the worst thing in the world, but they'll play Cornell, who is 9-3, 5-2 in Ivy League. Go ahead.
Not as much to be analyzed there.
Exactly.
This is up 16-2.
I will say, this Cornell team has allowed 7.2 goals a game, 4th in the nation. And not exactly a pushover, so this number 4 women's lacrosse team for Syracuse, something to watch tonight in Ithaca. Almost closed with our show here. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli on Newhouse Afternoon. If you have any questions, let us know on the Q Sports Talk chat on YouTube or possibly Twitch. We're both patrolling those.
Sure. Our next show next Tuesday will be the afternoon after the college basketball national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be super interesting. I think the women's championship is that Sunday. The men will be that Monday night. So.
Texas Longhorns, one of those 4 teams in the women's Final Four.
The women's, I think.
Gotta love that.
I think that's super interesting where it's much more chalk with the women. You have all 4 1 seeds in the Final Four, but it doesn't feel like it's definitely. I know a lot of people are picking UConn, but it feels like it's pretty open. Obviously, you have South Carolina, Dawn Staley. Can't count them out. UCLA, I've heard a lot about Lauren Betts. It sounds like the
thread in the front court.
Victor Wembanyama of women's college basketball.
One of the tallest players in the women's game at 6'8". Yeah, 6'8".
6'7" or 6'8".
I believe she's 6'8". I think she's 6'8". But she is, her front court, the front court of UCLA has been the strong point of their team, and they've been dominant. It's not exactly the worst thing in the world when you're seeing number 1 teams throughout the whole Final Four. Sometimes you want those upsets, but the women's game is very, front heavy.
Don't count out Vic Schaefer.
Yeah, never count out Vic Schaefer, and you hope at his age that you can finally get it done. I mean, Gino Auriemma has won a billion times.
That's what
12 titles.
They've been saying the same thing with Kelvin Sampson with Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get to the top of the mountain, sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I hope it could happen for him. But
what I hope happens is. That South Carolina-UConn game is going to be awesome. But I hope that UConn could go against Texas in the final. And I don't know if you remember this in 2017, but Vic Schaefer's Mississippi State team snapped that historic streak for the Huskies at like 117 games or something like that. It was something ridiculous, and nobody expected that. One of the best upsets of all time, as Dave O'Brien commentated over. I would like to see if he could do it again, because this is one of the best teams in UConn history. Obviously, that team they knocked out was one of the best teams too, but the team that won last year obviously is trying to defend that title.
UConn.
South Carolina has lost twice to Texas.
What is their win streak now between?
It's 50-something.
Yeah.
50-something. South Carolina.
That's freaking nuts.
2 of their 3 losses have been to Texas. So you can't hate that if you get past either one of those teams for the national championship if you're a Texas Longhorn.
Right. I mean, the fact that UConn, they're just steamrolling. They beat UNC by 20 points. UNC was playing super well. They beat Hidalgo and Notre Dame by 18, the Elite 8. I mean, it's ridiculous. None of these games are even close. Big MLB opening weekend, though. Close out with that.
Yep, let's do that.
Yanks had their first loss last night. Tom, are you up for that? The Cal Raleigh walk-off? I was asleep. I was
here till 2.
Oh, so you were up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asleep.
He didn't even start, so I was shocked.
Raleigh?
Obviously he pinched it. Yeah, he didn't start. He only had 2 at-bats.
All right.
Like 7. So I got a notification on Cal Raleigh.
Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Closing time on Newhouse Afternoon. Joseph Duffy and Hunter Caparelli. The Yankees just got walked off with their first loss last night against the Seattle Mariners. They'll be back to facing Seattle 9:40 tonight, first pitch. And then the New York Mets will be playing the St. Louis Cardinals at 7:45 in St. Louis.
It's a great MLB opening weekend. We had great opening day last Wednesday with the Yankees kicking it off Wednesday night, and then the official opening day that Thursday. So a lot of energy in the air for baseball fans, and definitely excited to see what my Yankees could do moving into this first stretch of the season.
Well, a lot to look forward to in MLB. Almost a week in. That'll do it for Newhouse Afternoon. Hunter Caparelli and Joseph Duffy signing off from the Newhouse SMC Studios. We'll see you next week.
Get ready to take a ride.